Hi, my name is Riley Doyle and my presentation is on cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis is an inherited disorder that causes severe damage to the lungs and digestive system. It makes your epithelial cells produce a defective protein that lines the lungs, digestive, and sweat glands, and it produces a thick mucus in the lungs and airways. When this thick mucus builds up in your airways, it leads to bacterial infections in your lungs, and it blocks tubes in your pancreas, which allows it to not reach your small intestine. The effects and symptoms of CF include higher level of salt in their sweat, and this is the biggest depictor of CF. Oftentimes in children, when parents go to kiss their child and they notice that their sweat is saltier than others, they usually go to the doctor and they get it checked out, and it usually is an indicator of CF. Respiratory signs and symptoms include coughing, wheezing, breathlessness, and lung infections. According to Patricia Ignacio, in her article titled Top 10 Cystic Fibrosis Stories of 2018, she talks about different stories of children and the effects that she saw and what the parents saw as well. Digestive signs and symptoms include poor weight gain and growth. Since they do not get enough nutrients, they have stunted growth and they're not able to grow as well as other children. And intestinal blockage and constipation often also are problems with cystic fibrosis. Complications with the disease are damaged airways, respiratory failure, and pneumothorax. Pneumothorax is the presence of air, gas in the cavity between the lungs and chest wall, causing the collapse of the lung, and they often get bronchitis and pneumonia as well. And digestive complications include nutritional deficiencies because they aren't able to get the enzymes that are transported through their small intestine because it is often blocked by this thick mucus. And they get diabetes. They often have blocked bile ducts and intestinal obstructions. According to the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, this disease is not curable, and these people with this disease often have to take 60 capsules daily to help digest their food. They often have to take daily physiotherapy to clear their lungs and hours of airway clearance. They usually have to take a nebulizer, as seen with this little girl in this photo, and she has to take antibiotics daily in order to help get rid of the mucus in her airways. Exercise is often a big help to people with this disease because it helps clear away the mucus and it helps clear their lungs. And how this disease is inherited, one must inherit one copy of the cystic fibrosis transmembrane conducting regulator gene from each parent. And when two CF carriers have a child, they have a 25% chance that the child will have CF, a 50% chance that the child will be a carrier of CF and not have the disease, and a 25% chance that they will have neither. 10 million people are carriers of this gene, but oftentimes don't know it. This disease, when you're a carrier, you don't have any of the symptoms, so you can be a carrier and not know it until you have a child with the disease. And 1 in 25 people are a carrier of the gene. And in order for a child to get this CFTR gene from each parent, they have to have a faulty gene in order to have CF. The history of cystic fibrosis dates back to European folklore, and they said, "Woe is the child who tastes salty from a kiss on the brow, for he is cursed and soon must die." This shows that even back then they related salty skin to problems with the pancreas in the 1500s, and it wasn't until Dorothy Anderson in 1938 when she came up with the first description of cystic fibrosis. They described the protein defect in the 1980s, and back in 1948, Dr. Paul Sang-Agni observed children with the effects of CF and dehydration of this because they are losing so much sweat in the skin. And there has become a lot of public awareness on cystic fibrosis and the effects that it has because it's become so big and so many people are learning more about it and the gene and wanting to get tested for it, and it's something that everyone should know about and learn. Thank you.
Very good when you got